Hello and welcome to the Wisden Cricket Weekly podcast. This summer, Wisden are proudly sponsored by Kia UK. Kia are leading the way in electrification with their groundbreaking range of EVs, including the EV9, the EV6 and the UK Car of the Year, the EV3. Kia also have a commitment to movement that inspires and want to help cricket fans get closer to the action. Listen every week for Kia's Movement That Inspires moment for chances to win exciting experiences at the Kia Oval this summer. Hello and welcome to this emergency short podcast on the eve of the fifth and final England-India test at the Kia Oval. We're doing this emergency podcast because England have announced an 11 that we have found quite surprising. There are 4 changes. Ben Stokes is out injured. Ollie Pope will captain England. Jacob Bethell is in for his home test debut, and it's all change in the bowling attack. There's no Liam Dawson. He's out after one game. Jofra Archer is unfit. Bryden Carse is unfit. So Jamie Overton comes in for his first test appearance in 3 and a bit years. And Josh Tongue is in, having missed the last 2 test matches, in place of either Carse or Archer, however you see it. And Gus Atkinson is back for the first time this series and this summer. Phil.
Yeah.
We started the summer not sure if Ollie Pope was going to be in the England team. England had 6 months to say he's definitely our guy. He finishes the series as captain for essentially a series decider.
Huge game for him. Huge game for this very new look side. It's shocked us a little, I think. I don't think anyone really thought that Stokes wouldn't make the cut, and that if he could strap the pads on, that he'd get out there. It's a kind of savage irony for him that he makes the first 100 in 2 years and now can't rock up.
Back-to-back player of the match performances.
Back-to-back player of the match performances.
It's the best he's been for years.
Yeah, but it turns out that the concerns regarding the body flogging over the last few weeks is encapsulated here at the Oval, here at Lord's, in that third test match, has now in the end come home to roost for him, and it's a shoulder injury, a particular part of his shoulder that he can't pronounce, and he can't get his arm up there to deliver. And I guess he can't bat freely either, because you would assume he would play as a specialist number 6 batter if he could do. Obviously, there's going to be lots of concerns about what that means for him for the Ashes. He's tried to dampen and downplay those. But it's a massive blow. And this team, as we talked about the other day, we wondered what 11 was going to land on the park. I don't think anybody in their wildest could have actually arranged this team together. It's staggering.
What do you think of the balance of the side? If you go back a year or so, when Stokes was either unfit to bowl rather, or unfit full stop, the way England generally went was a keeper would be at 6, and then Wokes would be a bowling all-round at number 7, followed by 4 bowlers. It's a slightly different way of going about things now. They've replaced Stokes with Bethell effectively at 6, who is very much a batting all-rounder. His spin is a work in progress. He's by no means a frontline spinner. And then they have 4 frontline seamers who also bat, with the exception of Tongue, Wokes, Atkinson and Jamie Overton, with a test average of 97, carded to bat at number 10.
Can I just confirm, Stokes has said if he could have batted, then he'd have played?
Not actually sure on that, but I presume that if he was able to bat, he would have played.
Yeah. I mean, in coldness, he's made 140, so you don't drop a player who's made 140. Yeah, okay. It's just, it goes back to a question that was asked on the show a few months ago. If Stokes is now no longer able to hold his position as a number 6, but obviously now he's back in form, so that's null and void. Okay, so in answer to your question, I said on the show on Monday that I thought Dawson might not make the cut and that they'll go in with effectively 5 seamers with Stokes. Now they've gone in with 4 seamers and 2 part-time spinners. It makes sense to me, with Stokes not available, that they would go down this route. And looking at the pitch, the images from yesterday at least.
But also what happens at the Kia Oval in terms of...
And what happens at the Oval.
Surrey, the most successful side in county cricket the last few years, won 3 titles on the bounce. They very, very rarely ever play a specialist spinner.
Yeah, exactly. And they've pulled that off for 3 years now. The pitch has a bit of nip and carry on the first day, and then it flattens out on days 2 and 3. And it's actually been trickier to force results at the Oval this year than it has in previous, which may be useful to England. who of course only need the draw. I can understand why they haven't gone in with Dawson. And there wasn't much made of the conversation between Stokes and Dawson at tea on day 5, but I thought that was quite significant. And
so what happened there for people?
Sorry, it was quite a public discussion, an animated discussion between the two of them. And Stokes was actually standing as the players were walking off the tee. Stokes was even standing as a left-hander in the crease, pointing to the spots where he wanted Dawson to bowl and focus upon. And you could hear them having a conversation, a back and forth as they walked off together. And Dawson was saying, well, maybe I'll go round the wicket then. And then post-tee, he did change his angle. And then actually Jadeja swept him for a couple of fours. And so he went back to his over-the-wicket angle. But the point was they were discussing in depth. And it looked to me like Stokes' patience had worn thin on a player that we have to bear in mind. He's not picked for 2 or 3 years now. And at times perhaps quite pointedly not picked him. He's only in that side because of Bashir. And now he's out of this side, I suspect, because Stokes doesn't fully back him or doesn't fully believe in him as a test match spinner. And so I kind of thought it might happen, as I said on Monday. Now it has happened. I can understand why. But it's a big risk because if India bat first, and if they get a decent first inning score and then they bat third with enough time still in the game, then England are going to need control just to try and take some of the sting out of this game, and they may be struggling to find it.
Well, this is the thing with Dawson. Obviously, we've been talking about him, bigging him up on the pod for a while, and obviously it was a big missed opportunity for him not to take any wickets in that fourth.
But he went
innings.
at 2 and over.
But he was economical in both
3 and
innings.
2.
Yeah, 3 and 2. And so far this series, the England spinner has had to do a lot of bowling, partly because of the fitness and form of the seam attack. And England are going into this test match with Chris Wokes, age 36, playing his 5th test in a row. And also he's someone who's not been at his absolute best this series. He's been better than the numbers suggest. He averages about 45 to 50 with the ball this series. Been unlucky at times, but he's been down on pace to what we used to see 2 or 3 years ago. Gus Atkinson's not played at all for England this series. He's played 1 game in club cricket and 1 game for the Surrey second 11. He's not taken bags of wickets in either the club game nor in that Surrey second 11 game. Jamie Overton has played very little first-class cricket recently. No one was really talking about him as a test cricketer for the here and now at the start of this summer. His last game for Surrey, 14 overs, no wickets for 81 at Scarborough the other week. And Josh Tongue, who is very hit and miss and scattergun in the first 2 Test series. Really good and effective at times. He's really good for Nottinghamshire in the county championship. But there's no one there who you'd necessarily hang your hat on to get through a lot of overs.
Without getting whacked.
Exactly.
Sure.
Which is difficult, which is where Dawson, even though he wasn't effective in the way you'd want your spinner to be on the final day in Manchester, he does at least allow the captain, Ollie Pope, to work around him at the other end. And you don't have to bowl someone who's either not 100% fully fit or not 100% on it.
Yeah. So we're now in the realms of trying to explain why without necessarily agreeing. Atkinson and Overton know how to bowl on these pitches. And their style, from what we've seen at the Oval in the last 3 years, suits these pitches. In that if you can bend your back, and if you pitch it slightly short of a length, you get appreciable carry. It hits Ben Folkes' gloves in county games with the fingers pointing up. It hits his gloves in front of his face. It's not one of these flattish, slowish tracks that we've seen predominantly this summer. That said, that's what we've seen historically in recent times. Yeah. There's no guarantee. And as I said earlier, the pitches have been a little bit less lively from what we've seen in 4-day cricket this year. Than they have done in previous. They will be hoping that there is as much life in this pitch as they can extract because they've picked a bowling attack for that. If there is life in this pitch and pace, then you can understand why they've picked Atkinson, Overton and Tongue, all of whom are going to go for 4 and over, 4.5 and over, but they might get you wickets. If the pitch is flat and lacking in a bit of life,
England are in trouble.
They're in trouble.
What do you make of... Forget the spinner question.
Yeah.
I actually agree with the balance of the side. I think it makes a lot of sense. They basically made sure they have 4 seamers at a ground where seamers do all the work. and they have bolstered the batting, having Bethel over Liam Dawson, although Liam Dawson has 18 more first-class hundreds than Jacob Bethel. What do you make of the balance of the seam attack itself, in that you have, as you said, 3 guys who you'd expect to go around about 4 runs and over? It looks like England have moved on from Sam Cook, who we saw earlier in the summer, having only played 1 game. Moved on from Matt Potts, who actually has a pretty good Test record for England, averages under 30. He's played in some pretty difficult conditions. He's had to bowl a lot of overs. He is someone who you could have picked in this game as someone who, okay, he might not bowl 87 miles per hour, but you can pretty reliably get you through 40 overs in the match.
I would have picked Wokes, especially without Stokes. He's the only bowler there with any pedigree or experience. So if he's fit enough, and I thought he bowled pretty well at Old Trafford, unluckily, and he's got better as the series has gone on. So if they can guarantee that he can get through it physically, then I'd have picked him. So I have no issue with that at all. I don't have any issue either with Sam Cook or Potts not making the cut, because England have not been able to take wickets between overs 30 and 80 all summer.
But that's including with the quicker guys as well.
Sure, but what Gus Atkinson has shown in Surrey colours and in England colours is that he's pretty useful with an older ball, and he does have that in his locker to bowl, to slip himself into a certain spell. He's a rhythm bowler, massively so, and it's a big, big risk to bring him in without any proper discernible cricket. I have my concerns that he's going to be able to slip in there, but his history suggests that if he does find his rhythm, he can take wickets with an older ball. That's what he's done for Surrey. He's made his reputation for Surrey doing that. And Overton is another one who he's not a new ball bowler and never has been, never will be, but he is an old ball, muscular kind of bowler. He will be asked, along with Tong, to do the short stuff, the grunt work, when things aren't really happening for them, and they go to the body line leg theory option.
He was also
they will
really
be asked to do those.
He was also really good in his last home game at the Oval. It was his first championship game in a while.
He bowled fast,
and he bowled genuinely quickly. And I think he's the battering ram style bowler in that attack.
So this attack at Lord's would be a problem, I think, and this attack at Old Trafford would be a problem. They are gambling that this track here at the Oval will be of different components to that which we've seen up until now. But it's a big, big gamble.
Finally, just on the spectacle of this final Test match, there's been a lot of...
We need to talk more about Bethel, man. Home Test match debut, right? How about that? How about that?
Talk to us about Bethel.
Well, look, you want to see Stokes in there, whichever your perspective, but... to see Bethel in there at number 6 in a test series, in a test at home, it's finally happened, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a good old phony war talking about it, but you can't fail to get quite excited just to see how he goes against a good quality attack on a pitch that you would imagine would suit him pretty well as well. It'll come on to the bat, short square boundaries, or rather quick square boundaries. And look, this could be the start of something very beautiful. I
mentioned up top how big a moment it is for Ollie Pope, captaining what is effectively a series decider on his home ground, having had a lot of scrutiny around his spot on the side coming into the series. More generally, Phil, as a spectacle, this final Test match, through the build-up since Manchester has been weird. So much has been made about moments that initially one was on the field at Manchester, how England conducted themselves in the final few moments there. And then we've got groundsman gate at the Oval yesterday as well. That's become a big story, particularly in India. The on-field spectacle and the characters involved are not necessarily what we'd expect for the 5th Test between England and India. We don't think Bumrah's going to play. I think England might, if they lose this game, come in for a lot of criticism from their home support. But I think it has to be acknowledged how unlucky they have been from a fitness point of view. There's no Archer, no Wood. Atkinson, who's England's highest ranked bowler in Test cricket, has been unable to play until the 5th Test match. Carse as well, he's faded throughout the series. He's not fit for this one. And Stokes, England's best bowler, is not fit for this one as well. They've been quite unlucky in the injury department, and as having India.
Do you think they'll get criticism if they lose this? Do you think?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But do you think that the subtext of that criticism is that they're becoming a less likable cricket team?
I think the reaction to what happened in Manchester suggests that they are less popular than they were certainly 2 years ago, and maybe even one.
Can you put your finger on why?
No, not entirely. I think I do think, and we sort of skirted around this on the weekly show, but just to be really specific as to what I think about what happened in Manchester, asking for a handshake, fine. India saying no to the handshake, fine. How England conducted themselves afterwards, not fine. I thought Brooks' reaction with the fake handshake towards Jadeja in Washington when Jadeja gets to his 100 was not amazing sportsmanship, in the same way that England got rightful praise for how they conducted themselves at the end of the Lord's Test, going to Jadeja and Siraj, essentially acknowledging the fight that they had shown. They did not do that in Manchester. There are some comments that I think the players would probably take back if they could do that. But equally, I completely agree with what you think, which is they were knackered after 5 days. And should we be so judgmental of people at their lowest moments? And also, was it that bad? No. But I thought what was interesting was the reaction for people. It was almost as if they enjoyed that England had done something like that.
Yeah.
Which suggests that, and by the way, when we're talking about their unpopularity, we're actually talking about the decline of their popularity within England. They've never been particularly popular in India or Australia, but there's a sense they are not quite as popular as they once were in England.
Something that really irritates me about modern discourse is the media talking about the media, and what we're doing here is being media talking about the media. But the end point of Old Trafford, with tired minds and bodies and frustrations boiling up between two teams that are perhaps a little bit fed up of one another, and England were petulant and came across as slightly charmless, and I can see that. At worst, that's what that was for me, and yet it turns itself into something which is so disproportionate to what it actually was, that we end up twisting these narratives and elasticating and amplifying these narratives until they turn into something which bears no real resemblance to what actually happened. Sure, England should have shown more class, no doubt about it. And there are instances where they have failed to show class in recent times. We were talking just now, the Bairstow run out 2 years ago, or stumping or whatever technically it was, that was a guileless and charmless and classless carry-on. And that fed into what you saw in the long room, you know, with all that carry on as well. That was reprehensible, I thought, far more so than what happened the other night at Old Trafford. But we are complicit. We, as this morass of media, are complicit, I think, in creating something from basically nothing. I would like Harry Brook not to have dangled his hand sarcastically as he did. I would like them to have shown a little bit more grace, I suppose, under fire. But that's it for me. That's as far as it goes. Nonetheless, it does tap in to this indiscernible but nonetheless distinct sense that they have lost their connection with many average punters who love England cricket and love the idea of the England cricket team, but who find this particular iteration of it harder and harder to relate to.
Which is really interesting because England historically aren't very good at Test cricket, right? They've had very, very few periods of anything that would be defined externally as success.
So this is where...
This side is relatively successful. I'm very aware this is on YouTube, so there'll be a lot of people watching this who are not England fans. England, for England, are doing quite well at the moment. I know in the grand scheme of things, they're third in the world rankings. For England, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. They're going into an away Ashes series where they might win a game. That's pretty good for England. And I find it interesting that there is a drop in popularity as they are doing pretty well.
Yeah. And Stokes' win ratio is better than Brearley's, Jardine's. Only WG edges him. And he retired a few years ago. And yet, and it is intriguing. It goes right to the heart of of our sporting culture, our sporting psyche, collective cricketing psyche, I think. Cricket is meant to be a struggle. It's meant to be an experience in defeat. And you develop a kind of humility on the back of being mediocre at best. And now they're daring to be something else. And with that comes a sort of a triumphalism, perhaps, that becomes unappealing or offensive almost to that collective psyche that I talk about. People do not fall in love with English cricket to be the winners. You fall in love with English cricket because you share the human struggle. And this team, on a certain level, I think, doesn't quite fit in to that narrative. And people, rather than allowing themselves to go with it and accept the extremes on the edges for the results and the thrills, I still think it bothers people on a certain level.
Well, depending on how the 22 yards behave, it could be a real struggle for the English bowlers
no doubt.
This week. We'll leave it there for today. If you want our reaction to each day of the Test match, head to the Patreon channel, the details of which we'll leave in the description notes.